Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the melee weapon, the Paracesis. Now, in this weapon series, I take a weapon, I build it out, and I test that weapon on its own merits. Meaning I don't mix it with any kind of external factors that would increase weapon performance. That'd be things like Warframes using abilities, pets putting statuses on enemies, things like that. I just test the weapon built out by itself, and I let the viewers make their own intelligent conclusions about adding those external things. Now, the only difference with when I do a melee video is that I do use one external, and that is a pet putting statuses on enemies. And the reason I do that on melee videos is because almost every melee weapon will use a mod called Condition Overload, and Condition Overload requires you to be priming for it. Priming just means putting a lot of statuses around you. And so to eliminate any human factor of priming, I use a pet to do it for me. That way all my melee videos are consistent with it. And to show a melee video or to show showcase a weapon that wasn't using Condition Overload, it would be a little bit disingenuous since all of them use it. So, okay. So the Paracesis, it was recommended to us a while ago, and it was before I was writing down the commenters who recommended it. I would write down the recommendations, but I wouldn't write down the commenters. And so I don't know exactly who recommended this, so I'm sorry if you're out there and you see this. I'm sorry I don't have your name here, but thank you for the recommendation. We have the top commenter from the last video, Nostrapapas, and the first commenter of the last video, Tengu. Okay, let's get into the Paracesis here. Okay, so the Paracesis is a heavy blade. It is acquired by just doing the main story quest. So if you're a new player, you will get this eventually just by pushing through the main story quest. It has the unique feature in that it can go to level 40 instead of level 30. So most Kuva and sister weapons, well, all Kuva and sister weapons can get to level 40. But, you know, this is not a Kuva or a sister weapon, but this can still get to level 40. Now, it still has the same thing that they also have, where you have to spend a forma for every 2 levels past 30. So once you're at 30, you have to spend a forma, and then you have to level it back up to 32. And then you have to spend a forma, and then you have to level it back up to 34. And then you forma 36, and then 38, and then 40. So it takes 5 forma altogether to get this thing up to 40. Now, this is going to have a unique effect. This weapon is called the Sentient Slayer, and so it has a unique effect that makes it very powerful against sentience. So, every level past 30, it's going to get stronger and stronger against sentience. It's going to get a bonus damage. So at level 31, it's going to get 7% bonus damage against sentience. And every level past that, it's going to go up by about 7-ish%. There's a few levels that it only goes up by 6 or whatnot, but it's about 7% per level. And then at level 39, it'll be at its maximum, which is 60% damage to sentience, or extra damage to sentience. And at level 40, it's also going to be 60% damage to sentience, but you're going to get another special effect at 40. So at level 40, all attacks are going to reset sentient resistances. So sentience, they build up resistances as you hit them with things. Kind of view it as an adaptation-ish effect that they get. So that'll reset it so that they won't becoming resistant to your attacks. And then also, weirdly, I didn't know about this until I looked at the wiki here. It changes Profit Taker's shield weakness when it's at 40. So when it's at 40 and it's resetting sentient resistances, it says it also changes Profit Taker shield weakness. I didn't check that myself. I didn't test it. But that's pretty cool. If you're a Profit Taker person, maybe this could be a good a thing for you. Okay. That should be it for the interesting things about... Well, there are actually a few more, but let's get into the build here. Okay, so other interesting things is that this has a very high crit chance. This is the 3rd highest crit chance of all heavy blades. It has a very high crit multiplier. It is the highest crit multiplier of all heavy blades, tied with the Graham and the War, or Graham Prime and the War. So very high crit chance and crit multiplier values. I think that's about it. I don't think there's really anything else that's too interesting other than the crazy sentient stuff it can do. So, okay, so for mods, let's get into it here. Like my little notepad over here. All right. So we're going to start with Voltaic Strike. This is going to add electric to our weapon. I'm going to skip ahead to our arcane because this will explain why we're putting electric on our weapon. For our arcane, we're going to be using melee influence. So on a melee electricity status, we have a 20% chance for elemental melee status effects to apply to enemies within 20 meters for 18 seconds. Throughout doing more testing on like every video with melee weapons, melee influence is extremely powerful. It's hard to beat melee influence with other arcanes. There are some that come close, like there's where is it? Exposure. Melee exposure comes pretty close because you get free corrosive on your weapon basically with melee exposure. And corrosive is a better element than electric, but the thing is you're not just getting electric, you're spreading it all over the friggin' place with melee influence. And so that's why it's so powerful. So, yeah, melee exposure is an option, but melee influence will beat it out unless you're doing something that's, you know, you need specific corrosive for some reason. All right, so that's Voltaic Strike. In the next slot here, we're going to have Sacrificial Steel. This is going to give you a crit chance. We're going to have Organ Shatter for crit damage. Gladiator Might for more crit damage and a little bit more crit chance as well. Condition Overload is going to give us a gigantic amount of flat damage. So I'm not going to show off my Dirige build because I've already done a video on it and there's a lot to it. But my Dirige produces 6 to 8 statuses on all enemies around us. And so you get a lot of flat damage out of this. You get, you know, 6 to 8 times 80%. You know, it's a few hundred percent of flat damage. Berserker Fury in this next slot is going to be 70% attack speed. And then we're going to have the 2 stack with combo multiplier mods. So Blood Rush with critical chance stacking with combo multiplier, and a Weeping Wounds with status chance stacking with combo multiplier. If you look here at the Paracesis' element chart, the slash value is very high. So it has a low impact, a low puncture, and a high slash, which is perfect. That's exactly what we want. So that means that when you know, it does its little dice roll and it decides what status it wants to give us, it's more likely going to pick slash than anything else. We did add electric, so electric is up there too. So, you know, electric and slash are almost the same. Slash is a little bit higher. But they're both really good. So electric is an AoE dot, and slash is just a crazy dot that ignores armor. So those are both really powerful attacks there. So, yeah. So Weeping Wounds will make you just get a lot more slashes. Okay. For stances, there are 3 options. There's Tempo Royale, Cleaving Whirlwind, and Rending Crane. And if I remember correctly, I should have probably confirmed this for sure. I believe this weapon starts with the polarity of Tempo Royale. Like, what is this thing? Vazarin. Starts with a Vazarin polarity. So you could fit Tempo Royale or Cleaving Whirlwind. Now, before we get into the gameplay, I'll show all 3 of these stances off as well. Okay, in the Tennokai mod, we're going to be using Dreamer's Wrath. So this is going to make us Tennokai more often, and we're going to get more critical damage on our Tennokai attacks. This weapon already has a crazy crit damage multiplier, so this is even stronger. So this is definitely the strongest Tennokai mod. I'm going to kind of show my little old man option off. So if you're an older dude that has like bad reflexes and you're not great at hitting your Tennokai button on time, Opportunities Reach is, yeah, this one here. Opportunities Reach is really good. You get a full 4 seconds to click your button, and it actually increases your melee range out too. So it's not just for old men. I mean, you could also make a case that increasing your range for heavy attacks could also be really good. So Dreamer's Wrath, you're going to get the most DPS out of. But if you have issues, like I have issues sometimes, I do consider sometimes just using Opportunities Reach because I miss my Tennokai or I press it too late and then I waste my combo. Like, so I do consider using Opportunities Reach sometimes. But if you have better reflexes, Dreamer's Wrath is the highest DPS one. Okay, so that is all the mods there. What we're going to do now is we're going to go into the Simulacrum. And we'll show the stances off real quick. I'll have timestamps too, so if you're not interested in watching the stances, that's okay. But some, you know, when I was a new player, it was hard to get certain information, and stances were one of them. It was hard to find like stance information. That's why every time I do a melee video, I show the stances off. It's going to come down, the stances for this weapon is going to come down more to personal preference, and that's why I'm going to show them all off here. So I'm going to start with Tempo Royale, okay? This is the one I currently have on. We're going to do the forward light. So this is just walking forward and holding E. It's a pretty good attack. It's a lot of stop and go, though. There's not a lot of movement to it. Now, you could add movement by adding a slide attack in there. I'll show that when I go back around. So I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to go this way. And I'm going to throw like 1 or 2 slide attacks in. You'll see I move a little bit quicker. So I'm going to go ahead and slide here. And I'm going to slide one more time right here. So you could add a little bit of movement in there just by throwing in some slides. I think if you didn't have like the slide attack like that, this wouldn't be a good stance because it is a lot of stop and go. But adding slides actually makes this pretty fluid. Okay, the forward, or not the forward, sorry, the neutral light. So not pressing W, so not moving forward and just holding E. That's okay. I'm not a huge fan of this one. The forward block. This is pretty cool. I like this one. A lot of swirly attacks that hit multiple enemies and it ends in a slam. I like that. And then the neutral block. So not moving forward, holding block, and then holding E. This is just a slam that repeats itself. Okay. I'm going to show you my second favorite one. So I like the Tempo Royale because I like most of its attacks except for like one of them. I'm going to show you my second favorite, which is Rending Crane. Unfortunately, Rending Crane is a different polarity, but you have to put so many format in to get this to 40 that you're probably going to have extra capacity like I do here. So we'll do Rending Crane. Now, Rending Crane, I really like the forward light, but I don't like anything else about Rending Crane. I don't like any of the other attacks, but the forward light is pretty cool. So let's show off the forward light first. And I like it because there's a lot of movement to it. It's not stop and go. So here we go. Like it starts with a lunge and then it's a lot of like swirlies. I really like that actually. I was considering maybe using Rending Crane instead of Tempo Royale, but I think for the video I'll do Tempo Royale just because that's what the polarity is that people will start with. All right, the neutral light, so not holding W. I don't like that at all because it's just like a single enemy you're hitting in front of you. The block neutral, so not holding W. Just repeats a slash. And then the forward block, so blocking, moving forward, and holding W. Yeah, it's a little weird. I don't like that one either. I mean, I like the slam, but I don't like the sideways spin that like is only going to hit one dude. So, okay. So Rending Crane's really cool on its forward light, but like everything else is pretty crappy. And then not Tempo Royale, sorry. Cleaving Whirlwind. Ooh, this is a spicy one. Have you guys ever played Diablo? Did you ever play a Whirlwind Barbarian? Well, here it is. Here is Whirlwind Barbarian. So the forward light, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you get staggered. There's actually a stagger in the animation. Now, that only happens at 5 spins. So if you want to be super anal about it, you can try to like stop and cancel your attack at 4. You could do like 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, and then start over again. 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's just a little bit too much for me. You know, I kind of want to shut my brain off a lot of times when I do melee. And if you do, you're going to end up doing the 5th one and then going into the stagger. Okay, let's show off the neutral light. Not a big fan of that. There's really no movement in it. Let's show off the neutral block. Don't like that one either. And let's show off the forward block. It's a very interesting one. This is like you could jump on an acolyte and just smash him in the head, but other than that, it's not very impressive, except for the slam. The slam is okay at the end. So, yeah, I mean, the cleaving, this one right here, what is this, Cleaving Whirlwind? If you like the light and you think you're pretty confident in stopping before you get to that 5th swing, this is a really good light attack. I mean, it's going to hit everything around you. It's just that you're going to forget sometimes, and then you're going to go into that stagger animation. So, okay. I'm going to go back to my Tempo Royale. It's pretty balanced, Tempo Royale. There's nothing like bad about it, and everything is pretty good in it. Where it's like Rending Crane, I really like the forward light, but everything else is crap. Okay, so Tempo Royale we got on there. That's all the stances. Let's go back to the Orbiter, and we'll start the gameplay off. All right, I think I have everything on appropriate, so I think we should be able to go. We're going to do a 10-minute bot, see how many kills this thing gets, see how it does.
Each enemy is more powerful than before. Only with true mastery of the Tenno arsenal will...
Yeah, and Tempo Royale, like, even though the forward light does have stop and go, you can kind of mitigate that by just adding in some slide attacks in the middle. You know, and for anyone that doesn't know, slide attacks, you just hold control down. I think it's control, unless I might have rebound it and maybe it's not control for you. I can't remember. I've rebound a lot of my keys. You know, and once you get your Berserker Fury up, your attack speed, like, the attacks are not that slow anymore, as you could see. Like, it's a lot quicker than the Simulacrum. And it's just because in the Simulacrum I didn't have my Berserker Fury stacks. So, and that's all melee weapons. All melee weapons are going to get quicker once you can get your Berserker Fury stacks up. Oh, I should have showed off the heavy attack too. So the heavy attack, I mean, it's not very impressive either. It's just a slash. Let me see. When I get Tennokai again, I'll show it off here. Here we go. There we go. That's the heavy attack. You see, there's like a little wave that projects out front too, but I mean, it's not very long range though. I think it still is only like 3 meters. Now, if you use that one mod I was saying for the Tennokai, the Old Man mod, that's what it should be renamed, the Old Man mod. Then I believe it'll kick it out to almost 6 meters. Oof, I just wasted my heavy attack right there. See, that's what I'm saying. I had my Tennokai up. I thought I was good to heavy attack, but I was too late on it. And I wasted it. That's why I probably should start moving on to the Old Man Tennokai mod, unfortunately. This one is the highest DPS. If you have better reaction speed, then this one will be best. But my reaction speed is not where it used to be. The other thing, if you do watch the Dirija build, the Dirija, when I did that build, I had assumed at the time, because it was a little bit earlier on, it was a few months ago, and I think some of these arcanes weren't out. So I had assumed that you were just going to go viral corrosive on your weapon. Viral or corrosive, not both, of course. But viral or corrosive on your weapon. And so I didn't put viral on the Dirija burst laser, because I was like, well, you're not going to put a status that you're going to produce with your melee weapon. But now that, like, you know, the meta is using melee influence, and you're putting electric on your weapon, you should use viral on Dirija. So if you do watch the Dirija video, that's the only difference I would make. I would put viral on that burst laser prime. That way she could spread viral for you. Because even one viral proc is 100% more damage to health, which is huge. I'll probably end up remaking a lot of the old videos too. I'm going to try to get through some of the stuff I haven't done first. But then I'm going to be like remaking some videos too, because there's been a lot of changes. New arcanes coming out, like new metas with the elements and everything. So some of my old videos, like they're still good builds, but they're not going to be top builds anymore because of it. Some of them will still be, but a lot of the heavy weapons, a lot of the like one-shot weapons, like snipers or explosive weapons and things, I think probably the elements could have changed on them to like the new meta with blast or gas electric. But low alpha damage weapons are probably going to stay the same with viral slash. Oh, I hate Torment. He's so annoying. He goes in that little Hydroid form. I tried to heavy attack him, and then he ended up friggin' going into a puddle. There we go. I was like, you're not going to go into a puddle this time. I was doing a little bit of experimenting this morning. I was actually getting a spreadsheet ready this morning to show Weeping Wounds versus Sacrificial Pressure. Like if you didn't use Weeping Wounds and you use Sacrificial Pressure instead. Because uniquely, because this weapon can get to level 40, you have the capacity to actually use the set mod or the set mods without an Umbral Forma. Because normally I would say do not use an Umbral Forma to get the set mods. Even if it is the highest DPS, don't use the Umbral Formas because they're extremely hard to get. But with this weapon, you can use the set mods without them. But when I was doing testing, it was about the same. It was doing actually even a little bit worse with the set than just with Weeping Wounds. And so I decided just to not even add the testing against those two, just because it wasn't really... It also wasn't definitive information, because melee is a little bit... Like, if I make a spreadsheet for range, it's a little bit more consistent. But when you start dealing with melee, or you're kind of at the mercy of dudes around you, it's like AoE builds for range. There's a little bit more variables that come into play, and so it's hard to actually test them. That's a better way of saying it. Melee has more variables that come into play, and so it's hard to do testing. Like most of my runs with Weeping Wounds were like 450 kills, and then all of a sudden the last one was like 650. I'm like, ah, come on. Like, it's not even consistent at that point. And it's just because, you know, you get super lucky sometimes with spawns. You know, the game's always going to spawn the same amount of dudes, but those dudes are going to be, you know, different in how they group up. That's why, like, melee and AoE builds are there's a little bit more variables to them. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. I'm just rambling while I'm doing some gameplay here, like my normal, as is tradition. We throw in some of those other attacks too. This is the forward block. This is the forward block right here. Let's do the neutral block. Oh, this is just the slam that's over and over. I don't like that. It's too slow. I guess you can mix it in, but like it to spam by itself is too slow. You'd just be sitting in one place. Alright, we got a minute and a half left, and then we'll see what the Paracesis gets to. I'm really hoping we can beat the Ghoul Saw. The Ghoul Saw has become like the meme where I made a ghoul saw build, and it got, in 10 minutes, like over 1,000 kills. And I think every other melee weapon has not beat it yet. And it's such a friggin' meme weapon, too, the ghoul saw. I don't know how it's beating all these other weapons that are actually, like, not meme weapons. All right, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Can we beat the ghoul saw? We got to get over 1,000 kills. I think it was like 1,022, if I'm not mistaken. Please don't let the ghoul saw be like the top in my tier list when I do it again. People will downvote it just for that. Look at this guy. He put the ghoul saw at the top. This guy's crazy. I'm sorry. It performed the best so far. All right. Oh, shit. It beat it. It beat it. 1,028. It beat it by 6 kills. I'll take it. I'll take it. The ghoul saw is not king anymore. I'm like, when I do that tier list, someone's going to, like, just skip forward and go and see, like, ghoul saw is at, like, top S tier and be like, this guy's freaking crazy. All right. Now it's not at the top anymore. All right. This guy is.
Fought well. Good dance.
1,028 kills. Beat the ghoul saw by 6 kills. I'll take it. I'll take it.
You are running out of time. Consider.
Yeah, so that's the Paracesis. Pretty fun weapon, and you also get it for free too. So you know, if you're a new player, it's a really powerful weapon that you get for free doing the main story quest. It just does suck to level it up to fully to 40. You do have to be spending a lot of formas on this thing. So other than that, though, really strong. So thank you again for the suggestion. Whoever you are, if you know who you are, put yourself down in the comments, and I'll give you a pin. But yeah, I appreciate it. All right, guys, if you liked it, consider liking the video. If you haven't subbed yet, consider subbing or tell me what I can do to earn your sub. And thanks for watching, guys. You guys have a great day. Bye.